I started out to be more transactional in all real estate things I was in, management, real estate brokerage, my own investing and speaking with my own tenants. I didn't know what I didn't know. So I thought I saw it on a piece of paper and I thought that was it. And being transactional is not the way sales should be, not the way, growing a company or any business should be. It should be more personal.
This is Operational Clarity, the podcast where we sit down with experienced leaders from the HOA, Strata, and body corporate management industries from across the world to unpack what it really takes to build and run great operations. My name is Robert Hangu, and today we're joined by Jake Handler from Morristown, New Jersey. Jake is co-founder and co-owner of Vessel Property Management, a New Jersey-based HOA and condominium management company. He comes from a blend of HOA ownership experience, where he was frustrated with management companies, and residential brokerage. He's a real estate investor himself. Jake's core message is that the HOA management industry is fundamentally broken because many firms profit from opaque vendor markups, hidden fees, poor communication, and lack of owner visibility, which led him to create a new kind of management model. Jake, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Robert. You said it's a worldwide podcast, and I think me and you could not be on further parts of the world right now.
That is totally true. We're actually exactly 12 hours apart. So here it's 9:30 p.m. For you, it's 9:30 a.m., right?
8:30 a.m. actually. I had to wake up pretty early here.
Wow. Okay.
After July 4th weekend too. It was a rough weekend. It's our freedom
indeed.
here.
Indeed. Well, maybe we can pull some interesting inside scoop information out of you in this state that you're in. Let's see.
Hopefully. Yeah, that's right. It was actually some flooding here in New Jersey this past weekend as well. So my management company has been working around the clock to help with that as well.
Wow. Okay, then we'd rather make it quick. So you and your co-founders, you all own condos yourselves, and this gives you first-hand experience with the frustration of traditional property management. So what were some of the main pain points that you've experienced?
Yeah, so we founded Vessel Property Management in 2022, and I say we because, like you said, I have some partners in the company that it wasn't even my idea to start this company. It was actually, shout out Rob, one of my partners. It was his idea, and it's because he owned a condo in the town that we operate in, which is Hoboken, New Jersey, right outside of New York City. That's where most of our associations are, and that's where we started building our portfolio. He owned a condo and just had really poor management. And same with his brother, who's another co-founder, Justin. He has the same experience. My experience was slightly different because my condo was in a different area of New Jersey. But we really tried to focus in that Hoboken area. And what they were seeing with their management companies is just complacency. Just like they're legacy companies that have been around since the 80s. There's no competition for them, so they don't really have to answer to anybody. It's just sort of the Wild West, and there's no one overseeing any management companies to make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to, unless there's going to be someone who changed the game and really made the standard higher, which we have been doing through, like you said, transparency and strong communication. It's amazing, Robert, the compliments we receive. I shouldn't say, of course, not everyone's a fan, obviously, right? But some of the compliments we receive are just like, wow, I didn't know this was available to us in HOA management in this area. I wish 5 years ago this would have happened, or 8 years ago I knew who you were, things like that. It's really remarkable.
Yeah. Tell us a bit more about your company. How many associations do you manage, some of the logistics involved, and what your daily processes look like?
So my favorite thing about podcasts is that this will be on YouTube and last forever. So I hope I look back on it's July of 2026 and laugh at how many associations I'm about to say we have.
Mm-hmm.
So through about 3.5 years of existence, we're managing 30 associations, and they're all similar to one another in the sense that they're all in the same geographical location. I don't know if you've heard of Hoboken, but it's 1 square mile. It's the town closest to New York City depending on how you're getting there, but it connects to New York City. A lot of people from New York City over the last 50 years have migrated to Hoboken because it's generally cheaper and you get a little more space for your money versus New York City.
Hmm.
and you basically get the same benefits. It's a really awesome town, and it's known for being 1 square mile. And so our 30 associations, I'd say about 25 of them are in Hoboken in that 1 square mile. Now, this strategy
Wow.
is intentional, and this allows us to keep everything close to one another. So if we're sending out a vendor, then oftentimes they're doing more than one thing that day in that same square mile, which is really convenient for them, therefore cheaper for our customers, and it makes our lives easier as well, knowing who we know in that same area without having to branch out much. So when I say 30 associations, honestly, our growth, or some would say lack of growth, however you see 30 as the number, it's all intentional. We have said no to many associations that aren't in that square mile or right around it, because we want to slowly grow and be the really be the best and last association management company standing versus just the first to get to X amount of doors.
Yeah, I've just Googled it. It looks almost like a neighborhood of New York City, like for somebody
Yeah.
who's not from the area. I mean, obviously it's located in New Jersey, right? But it looks very dense. It looks, yeah, one square
There's
mile. So
so many movies that use Hoboken as a backdrop, or it's where they film for New York City, because it looks like you said, it looks like a neighborhood in New York City.
yeah, definitely, definitely. So you have a background in real estate brokerage and you're a real estate investor yourself. What role does this background play in how you manage associations today?
So I love that question because that doesn't get talked about enough. I think I started real estate. My whole real estate brain got turned on from being from being a real estate investor. And I wouldn't know how to, excuse me, I wouldn't know how to grow any sort of real estate business without doing that myself first. Some people do it, good for them. I don't know how. I just have lived through being a buyer, being a seller, being a landlord, and having late rent, and having just situations like maintenance that goes on at a building. So I can speak the language to another condo owner who we might manage in our company, and I could just relate to them, whether they're a landlord or not. I could just speak the language and really understand being an owner and where they're coming from.
I agree. This makes total sense. We've had a different or another guest on the show, and they explained a bit of the legislation around managing homeowner associations. I think it also varies state by state, but they said you needed to be a licensed real estate broker in order to manage HOA communities. Is it the same in New Jersey? What's the legislation around that?
So we don't manage rental properties. So I might butcher the language, but in order to be required to have a brokerage, you need to do real estate activities, right? If you're doing any real estate brokerage related activities, in my words, I'm probably butchering it, then you need a real estate license. So I do have a real estate license, but that's actually separate. What we do as HOA management is really unrelated to, we don't rent out properties for people. We don't manage the insides of the units. Again, we're very intentional with where our buildings are, and the size of the buildings is another thing that we have a niche down for. And then additionally, our niche is that we don't manage rental properties. So we say no to opportunities that involve that. We just manage the associations.
Let's move a bit to the operational side of things. You've said that you intentionally overhire to maintain high service quality, mainly because your strategy prioritizes operational excellence over growth and profit margins. How much of that could be automated with modern technology tools?
Well, plenty of it is automated, but we still need human resources for sure to implement these tools. So about the beginning of 2026, my partners and I really explored Claude. And I don't want to be the individual who takes credit for Claude, or takes credit for this, because my partners do way more with the integration of Claude than I do. I'm not as technology savvy as them, nor did I just didn't go through it the same way they did. But we now have many internal tracking systems through Claude. So they're custom. What we did is we basically copied and pasted things that already existed out there, right? Softwares that were already helping management companies, and white labeled them to ourselves. And this has been a game changer for our internal operations. Before 2026, Our external operations were already, AI enabled. We're using softwares. We have a lot of technology working in our favor for our customers. But what we were lacking was an internal tracking system. And then Claude really solved that for us.
Can you dive a bit deeper into your operating model? You've mentioned that you're trying to move away from these opaque fees and instead offer a fixed monthly fee. How does that work?
Yeah, so we're a flat fee. So if you Google vessel property management and go into our site, the first thing you'll see is that we're a flat fee. And again, back to the experiences that my partners had as condo owners in Hoboken, they didn't know what was being charged of them and when and why. And that just sucks. Like you buy a condo, you want to know where your money's going, right? I mean, as an investor myself, like it's all about the numbers, really, right? So for you to just be told, hey, there's an $800 fee that you owe, and it's because 6 months ago we forgot to do this, or even not even get an explanation like that. That sucks. So everything we do is on our company portal. I should say every bill we pay is on our company portal. So every estimate we receive is also on our company portal. So for example, if we're getting a roofer out to do a job, we're going to get 3 roofing quotes. And again, because we're in the same area of all of our associations, we easily know the same 3 roofers. And then we'll just forward those 3, in this example, those 3 roofing quotes with their company letterheads, their insurances and all that to the boards, and the board gets to select which one they choose, of course, with our guidance because of our experience. But we don't mark up on that price. So that's the price that the associations see and pay for themselves.
I understand. How do you decide internally if a process is worth automating? What's your thinking structure around that?
So when you say worth automating, you mean versus manually doing it?
Exactly. So for example, if you see that something is happening over and over again, how do you decide to invest time into automating it? Or how do you move the tech implementation forward?
Sure. So I'm going to answer a simple question in a complex way. Okay.
Okay.
Both myself and my business partners, all of us we aligned before we had our first building, before we had any income in this company. We aligned on that long-term vision. We were not going to be racing to the bottom to get every building to sign up with us to be the cheapest. We were not going to, be the first to $1 million. We were going to be the last one standing. And because of that alignment, and that alignment is because of where we all are in our lives. I'm a real estate investor. I'm also a real estate agent. So there's other income coming in, all related, but it's still coming in separately. Now, to answer your question, we have then from the start have been tracking everything. And that's something we have a weekly meeting about, of tracking. If there's a problem, it better only happen one time. Because if it happens twice, why isn't there a system in place, an SOP or an automation in place? And if it does happen a second time, then we each have our lanes. Each of the 4 owners has our lanes in which we are responsible for creating a system or, spending time investing into a technology and getting.
I see.
Yeah, long answer to your question. I just wanted to, I think breaking it down from like our mindset of how we started the company is always going to help us get there, because it is different than other companies. And Robert, I don't know, you probably, I know you interview, I've listened to other episodes, so you interview other managers. Do you think there's probably a lot of differences between the way we handle something and our growth?
It depends. So many business owners that have been on the show are fairly aware that they can automate a lot with AI, but it depends in the way they implement it, right? It depends on the reason that each one chooses to implement them, right? So some of them choose to automate, let's say, the front part. For example, email handling, call handling. You could argue, okay, email handling is the back-end part. And others argue that they would like to have the human touch. So they have a human front desk, very much like yourselves, where you say, okay, you'll rather overhire in order to provide great services. But then they automate the back end very heavily. Everything, like every process, every Everything that is very repetitive, they automate. Document summarization, meeting summarization, board letters, email triaging. So I would say they have different approaches here, but
Okay.
ultimately they have the intention to find all those repetitive parts that could be automated with AI. Which actually leads me to the next question, because this technology is fairly new, and also automation, let's say the automation adoption in the industry. Why do you think many HOA management companies are hesitant to adopt technology and to automate?
Well, I think that there's a sense of relatability that is a game changer for us, that we do have many AI and automations, mostly internally. Now, if you call our phone number, you do get an AI agent who transfers you to the person that would make sense to receive that call. So that's one automation we definitely have, and it's been great. But even that, sometimes I like cringe. I'm like, like, do they really want an AI agent when they call? Now, at that point, you have to weigh the pros and cons, and the pros outweigh the cons because it helps us become more efficient and do our jobs better. But I do think there's that, we really try to be relatable, which again, back to how we started this company and why these complacent legacy companies that were existing before us were just not relatable. And we try to be that different. So I could see other management companies, feeling the same way of trying to be different in that way.
I agree.
Now, I have a question for you. Our AI phone answering tool, which I know you are heavily involved with, in general you are, when they call our number, we had an internal debate whether or not that AI answering person should say that they're AI or not. Should they just say, hey, this is Vessel Property Management, how can I help you? It sounds like a human. Or should it say, hey, this is your AI, this is Vessel, this is AI, I can transfer you, etc. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it depends a lot how urgent the call is. In general, I think if the person really needs to get an answer right now and they don't want to wait 10 minutes to get to a human operator, you could say, or the AI could say, hey, I'm an AI, I can help you right away with easy questions. Well, or also more complex questions. It depends on how you set it up. It can be very powerful. Or as an alternative, you can wait 10 minutes for the next human operator. So it would be completely transparent in that sense. And I think nowadays most people recognize that it's an AI voice because it's not as interactive. It has a small delay. Even though it's, let's say, a couple of 100 milliseconds, it's still, you can notice that it's an AI. So if it pretended it was a human, and most callers would guess that it's an AI, I think there's a little trust breach there, or at least they would be a bit annoyed. So I would say it's rather better to be upfront and just to say, to outline the benefits, to say, okay, you can talk to me, I'm an AI, or you can wait. It's up to you.
So we did that. So awesome. So if you call us, it will say, hi, I'm an AI agent. I can transfer you to whoever you need. What's your problem? Or what do you, why are you calling? And it's been working out really well. It's also smart enough to know, hey, I have an emergency. Okay, that goes to our emergency technician, not to a property manager, because that doesn't need to have that extra step. Or even describing, hey, there's a water leak. I mean, it goes straight to them, right? It goes straight to the emergency technician. So it's been really awesome for us. And one thing that we do, and I don't know if I haven't heard this on other episodes. I don't know if you've dove into this with anyone else. We have an info@Vessel Gmail, but we don't operate through that email. So what I mean is we all are our own selves. When I say we try to be relatable, in order to contact me, you don't just contact a general mailbox in an email. You contact jake@vesselholdings.com. And I have a photo. It's not an egg or not our logo. It's a photo of me. And that's a really important distinction that we try to do differently versus other management companies, I think. And that connects with the AI conversation as well. We want to be upfront, transparent, and relatable.
I understand your point. I think it depends a lot on the size of the company. For example, we had a guest from Australia who manages Strata schemes. Strata is the Australian term for homeowner association management.
I listened to that episode.
Exactly. And I asked him what has changed over time and if he if he looks back, what advice would he give himself in the beginning? And he mentioned just that. He said in the beginning, he set out to build his company because he wanted to offer superior service compared to other companies. And in the beginning, all of the homeowners would reach out to him directly. And over time, as they grew, this became a bottleneck. And his advice was, build your company as it's already 10 years ahead, or as it's already
100%.
10 years in the future. And he said it took them a long time to move away the relationships from himself as a person to his team. And he said if he had done this very early in the company's stages, it wouldn't have been so difficult. And he said that nowadays, some of his clients don't even know him personally. They just know the respective strata manager that manages their
So to be
their
clear,
building.
we're the same. They don't. I use Jake as an example. No one emails me. I'm the owner. We overhire. So we have property managers that are the face of our company, and they're not the owners of the company. So I totally agree with him. And again, because of our visions, mine and my colleagues, my business partners, of being, we said that exact quote where we want to think 10 years ahead. So we don't want, no one has my cell phone number. They only have the company number. Things like that are definitely in place. But we do think having that personal touch, our managers having that personal touch with our customers, is what makes the difference with us.
How would you scale this?
Can you be more specific?
As in the personal touch with you as a business owner.
Well, okay. So again, the managers are the people that are the face of our company more so than me or any of the owners. At least we intend to do that as often as possible. Of course, there's some times where I'm part of the sale. They personally know me, so I try to push them off to the manager, as we're managing. But we're going to scale it just the same way we grew from 0 to 30. 30 to 60, 60 to 120. It's going to be a similar path in the relatability sense and in the communication sense. It might require more automations, of course, and more, people. But we have a clear vision that we're able to hire this. We need to hire correctly and smartly to make sure that the people are relatable to and have good personalities and all that. But yeah, I don't think that's going to be a challenge that I foresee unless I'm being naive here.
Then can you dive a bit deeper into where exactly you want yourself as a person to be involved and where you would delegate this?
Yeah, that's an amazing question. So currently the largest role I play for the company is I am the salesperson. So when we get an inbound lead to potentially change their manager from someone else to us, I take that call. I create a budget proposal for them. I meet with all the condo owners, and then I send out the contract. So I do a lot of work to get to that contract stage. Should I ever offload that, or can I ever offload that? I don't know. I think about that sometimes too. Again, I'm not really in the day-to-day of management. I can't tell you what's going on at buildings because we have staff that knows that. For now, I really enjoy the sales process. I really enjoy talking about myself. That's why I'm on this podcast. So it's really easy for me to talk about us and to share why we're so cool and things like that. But that is a great question. Do you have any advice for me personally to ever? Because I think getting rid of a sale, hiring a sales position, that feels, again, I hope I listen back to this and I think I'm silly in 2026, but that feels tough to do.
That's partially correct. You might be able to get the word out via social media and marketing, right? But I think if you scale and if you have a great team in place, they could do the heavy lifting for you and you could still be the face of the company, right? People would still know you as a person. As you mentioned, you don't use the info@vessel so-and-so email address. You'd still use your personal email address. But with some smart automation in the background and a great sales team that does the heavy lifting, I think you can combine both. And I think nobody seriously expects a business owner of let's say you managed hundreds of associations. Nobody expects the owner to be available all the time or to be seriously still involved in the nitty-gritty day-to-day, right? So I think the expectations there are different, which is fine.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm not in the day-to-day and I'm not in the nitty-gritty. That sales component, I'm sure I can give off more of that. I probably should in the future.
Mm-hmm.
You
Now,
know,
I
we
know.
have marketing and all that, where we have social media. I'm talking about inbound leads, even included in this. Someone has to pick up that phone and create that relationship. So
Mhm.
that's what I'm still doing.
Yeah, yeah, totally agreed. It's with scale, maybe they wouldn't expect the owner to pick up the phone on
Agree.
the first contact. I think someone would be naive to think that. And if you have a great salesperson and you can train them, and they could still say, hey, look, if you ever want to talk to the owner, or if you ever want to talk to the, let's say, sales director, he's just a call away. Just let us know. And maybe they won't want to do this because they probably know that you're busy. But just having this option gives
Yeah.
them this reassurance that you are still involved with the day to day. I think I've heard this one interesting story about Steve Jobs at Apple, and he, at some point, he had called an angry customer back, and he said, "Hi, it's Steve." And the customer said, "Who's Steve Jobs?" And he said, "Yes." And he said, "Okay, look, I called to apologize about this and this defect in the phone," or I don't remember exactly what the problem was. So I don't know if that was done just for PR purposes, right? But it was still still interesting that he had never lost a touch to or with the day-to-day operations in this sense. So you could do something similar from time to time. Just
Yeah.
pick up a sales call and say, "Hey, it's Jake. How can I help?"
Yeah, that would be cool. So one thing that we do as owners is we all do something. I read a book called Unreasonable Hospitality, and there was a scene, a part in the book that really hit different with me, and it was about this ice cream shop owner who would spend 5% of his profits and invest that into wooden spoons, like those good ass wooden spoons that when you go to an ice cream shop, like you're pumped to see. And they return zero ROI, but a million ROI mentally, or, to talk about it, PR, things like that are the intangibles. So all of us as owners do something that's unreasonably hospitable. What I do personally is every time there's a sale of one of our units and there's a new buyer, I call them and welcome them to the association. So at this point, 4 years in, I've had like 40 sales. So 40 unit owners have spoken to me, the owner, and have just been welcomed from me. And I'm pumped about it. I think it's a cool thing we do.
Agreed. A different thing that is maybe a bit less time consuming as you scale, you could probably write letters yourself or at least sign them yourself. But as
I
you
like that.
grow, you have to
I like
think
that I
about,
said something and you thought of how to do it quicker. That's awesome. I love that.
well, that's my job, isn't it?
I know it is.
I was curious to hear from you, and I know this might not be your area of ownership inside the company. You've said your business partners would do this. How do you decide if a new technology or a new tool, a software tool or a software package, how do you decide if it fits your needs? How do you shop for software?
So our hierarchy, I'll call it, of software is similar to when we're interviewing or hiring a person, which is we have an IT person as one of the owners plays the IT role. And so I will tell him, I'll say, hey, I think something like this would be helpful. Please get back to me when you figure something out. If and when he figures that out, he'll bring it back to me. And just like if we were interviewing someone, hey, I think we need, or just like if we need to hire someone, hey, I think we need to hire someone in this position. He'll do the interviews and then he'll introduce me to the people for the second round of interviews. It's kind of that same, I'm making that analogy. It's a sort of that same path. Yeah, it's not me directly that does that for us.
So this would be one of your business partners.
Yeah, who should be a
does that?
future interview on this podcast. You should get him on. His name is also Rob.
Interesting. What a coincidence. Yeah, I understand. So your business partner is very technical then, so he can call the shots in this sense.
For sure. It's of course, it's a collaboration between us to see where this makes sense and the costs and all the things that are involved in making that decision. But yeah, he does the heavy lifting for anything IT related.
Mm-hmm. And then who does the actual implementation inside the company? Because especially AI, it's very data hungry. You have to prepare the data in a proper way. You have to feed it in a proper way. Then you have to monitor it all the time. Do you have an internal team that your business partner supervises? Or do you work with external contractors? What's your workflow there?
We don't work with external contractors, so this is still something we do internally. Maybe it's not the most organized, but we basically just have our employees like integrated as often as possible. We have weekly meetings where we try to catch up on those things. So because, like you said, it's data hungry, we make sure, or Rob makes sure that the checklist of things that need to be updated are done on a weekly basis. Obviously, our team gets busy, so that's that weekly catch.
I understand. And your employees are not necessarily technical, but they are, let's say, good with tech in that sense.
Exactly. Same with me. Nothing too super special, but I could figure things out. But I'm sure we could use your expertise in the future as we grow, because right now it's good enough. And we're trying to be better than good enough in all aspects. But to be realistic, AI is changing every day, and that's something new for all of us. So we are only good enough, I think.
Yeah. Well, let's just hope the AI mega brain doesn't take over too soon, because by then nobody will be good enough anymore. So,
do you think property management could be completely outsourced to AI, where we would go out of business one day?
I would say you wouldn't go out of business. You would still own the business, but probably do minimal work. I think it's a broader societal question, right? You see it with jobs disappearing left and right. I think the more fundamental question here would be, what should people do if there's no need for their actual work, right? I think there will be many companies that are run by just one person, and even those companies aren't run by that person. They're just owned by that person, and the AI runs the company. So, but this is if you probably extrapolate many tens of years into the future. I don't know when this will happen.
Yeah.
So I think the future will look very different than what it looks like today. And probably humans will find other activities to do. There is always something to chase. There is always something people are interested in. People are interested in other people. People are interested in stories of other people. So maybe there will be different business models in that sense. But as for property management itself, I think most of it can be automated. And at some point, like, the question is, how will the tech be adopted? Will people at some point accept to talk to an AI? How good will the AI answer? How well will it answer? How good will its voice be? I think people will get used to it, just the way they got used to telephones, and then to cell phones, and then to smartphones. I think it will be a transition, definitely.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting about HOA management in particular is if we're managing an 8-unit association, we need 5 unit owners to sign off on a change in management company, right? It's not one decision maker. So you can't fire us like that. You can't hire us like that. So in this world where the manager is an AI, is AI, who is the person that's communicating and working the AI when there's a group of decision makers? Does that make sense?
Yeah. As in, who's the AI whisperer?
Yeah.
In that sense.
And like you said, I think our job in the future even more is going to be the AI whisperer, like you said. I don't know that there's going to be a board president who says, guys, I got this. I won't get paid for it. I'll manage all of what this AI is doing. I think you hire the human to manage the AI.
Agreed. Speaking about humans, there was one thing that I wanted to ask you a couple of questions ago, and then we went deep down into this rabbit hole. And it's actually a question that a prior guest had asked me, or was curious to hear from other operators. And it's specifically, how do you ensure employee retention besides just money, especially good employees?
We're young, and we've been really fortunate with our employee retention. We've let go plenty because of how young we are. I call them ninjas. I say ninjas only. like good ninjas only is the motto I use. So we cannot have a mediocre person at this stage of our career, at this stage of our company. It's just not possible for us to grow that way. And we have short leashes. Unfortunately, I let someone go a couple weeks ago after they were on for 10 days, 10 business days, 2 weeks. You could just tell, right? And then you just need to quickly replace as fast as you can, but of course, without compromising quality. You want to go to the interview and due diligence process. So all that to say, I don't know. We're young and naive still. We're a 4-year-old company, and we have been fortunate with our amazing employees that have stayed, that they have a great working environment and want to stay. And I think one more thing I'll add to this is I think it's exciting. I think we're attracting the right people if they are excited about where we are in our growth, because our goal as a company is to manage all of Hoboken, New Jersey. 10,000 buildings or 5,000, I don't know the number. We're at 30 right now. So don't you think employee 1, 2, and 3 are probably going to get promoted and maybe have some sort of more incentive for us to grow when we're ready for that? Probably, right? They're going to be with us from day one. And I think those are the people we want to be excited about too.
Yeah, I understand your philosophy now. You operate much like a startup with a mission. You move very fast and you attract people who have the same mindset. So in a way, this opportunity itself is something that talented people want to be part of, which is, I think, a great strategy.
Well, it feels like a lot of people want to be part of it whenever we have a hiring, out, whenever we're trying to interview. It feels like that's an exciting proposition for a lot of people. So we do have to weed through. Again, we're young. We're still learning into what interview questions should be asked and how that really translates to what type of employee they might be. And what I like, there's a word I heard once. It's called an intrapreneur. And that is the type of person that we want on our team. You need to own your responsibilities and feel pride in doing that and want to grow it and ask stupid questions and understand things on a daily basis to try to get better.
Makes total sense. Last question before we wrap up, something that we ask all of our guests. What would be the best piece of advice you would give yourself when you started out in the real estate industry? I think you started out in 2020, right?
Yes. That's when I personally started real estate.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
What's the number one piece of advice you'd give yourself with the benefit of hindsight?
Well, let me first start with saying that my naivety at the time was a superpower. So I haven't been perfect, but I wouldn't change any of that, right? Like I did stupid shit. And if I knew all the answers or thought I knew all the answers, I'd probably be not as far, not as, proud of where I am today, right? So I'll say stupid stuff I've done. I mean, I started out to be more transactional in all real estate things I was in, management, real estate brokerage, my own investing and speaking with my own tenants. I didn't know what I didn't know. So I thought I saw it on a piece of paper and I thought that was it. And being transactional is not the way sales should be, not the way, growing a company or any business should be. It should be more personal and it should be really adding value. So if you saw my LinkedIn backdrop, the, what's it called, the cover photo, it says add value, because I learned that the hard way, that I'm not trying to shake a million hands. I'm trying to really add value to 5 people instead of instead of giving a million people my business card. That's just not what I started that way, because that's what I thought. But, and going through hindsight, I wish from the start that I was as relationship focused and adding value focused as I am today.
I think that's great advice. And I think this advice applies to all stages of business, not just starting out. But it's great that you've learned that the hard way. Probably the hard way is the only way to learn things.
That's right. I learned how to swim by getting thrown in the pool, That's not true, but theoretically.
Yeah. Amazing. It's sink or swim, right?
Yes. So, I mean, what about you, Robert? Do you have any, as we wrap up here, do you have any things that you wish you knew when you were younger?
Yeah, I think one mistake that I did was I didn't go broad enough early on. I focused too much on, I didn't explore too much. Pretty early on, I was passionate by tech. I worked in tech then my whole career. And Only just later on, I realized, okay, there's more to it. There's relationship building. There is marketing, even marketing in a broader sense. Let people know about you. Let people know about what you can help them with. Right. I was very, very much focused just on the tech side for a long period of my, let's say, life and professional career. So the advice I would give myself when I started out would be just explore things that you don't see a direct value in the beginning, just to see what it's about. Because very often I would have I would have preconceived notions about many things. So I wouldn't even try them because I thought I knew how they were, right?
Yep.
So I would say, okay, just go and try things just to explore, just to see whether it's worth going deeper into them. That would be my advice.
That's a great answer. And I agree with that because I watched this video yesterday. It was like Drake started as an actor and then he learned about basketball and now he's the number one selling rapper of all time. And Warren Buffett started in real estate and then he's this, now he's this. And you just don't know where the next stage is going to take you. And if you look at it with open eyes and with the idea that, I love talking about compound interest because that's how I built my wealth, through compound interest. So if you look at business through compound interest, where it's, hey, what I learned today times what I learned tomorrow equals what I'll learn in 2 days, that is a powerful thing. So everything's an opportunity.
That's a great line to end this conversation. Jake, it was great having you on the show. Where can people find you online?
Yeah, thanks for having me. I love, like I said, I love talking about myself. So people can find me personally at Jake Handler NJ for New Jersey. That's my Instagram. That's my YouTube. I think that's my LinkedIn probably. And then I also have, so my property management company is Vessel Property Management based out of Hoboken, New Jersey. And then I also have a podcast, Robert, and I'm going to invite you right now to be on. I'm going to email you later. It's called The More Smarter Show. And we talk with business owners, not necessarily in real estate. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not, about working more smarter and not more harder or more dumber in their business, and really just getting to efficiently operate their systems and optimize their time and resources. And it's really educational. And Robert, I think you'd be a great future guest.
I'd love to join.
Great.
Okay, Jake, thank you very much. And looking forward to that show. Thanks for being on the show. And that's it from my side. Cheers. Bye-bye.
That's it. Thanks, Robert. Bye-bye.